Hey everyone, how you doing? So, the original Plants vs. Zombies. Wow, did this game have its influence back in the day, am I right? PVZ1 really was a powerhouse in its prime, and that led to this franchise becoming the giant that it became. But of course, there was something else that helped PVZ1 grow. So with that being said, here's the thing, and here's some obscure PVZ trivia. PVZ1 has a ton of ports and versions. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about every single one that I could find. This is going to be a pretty long video for this series. Oh, and before we discuss this PVZ1 escapade, do you like discussing weird versions of PVZ1? Well, the Floral Federation Discord server is a place that lets you discuss PVZ1 and more, so check it out if you're interested. Shameless plug. But anyways, let's get right into it. Let's start out with the first versions of this game, and up first is the original release, the one for Windows and Mac. This build of the game is the basis of PVZ1 modding, and that's about it. That's pretty much the most interesting thing about this version of the game, besides the fact that it's hard to get nowadays. That's because Game of the Year Edition overtook it, and that one added Zombatars and other smaller stuff, so it has more to offer, but it's still pretty much base PVZ. But as for the Flash version of the game, well, this is where things get interesting. See, this was a demo that admittedly has always intrigued me, so let's discuss it a bit. This demo only goes on until 2-4, where then Crazy Dave decides to get in your face about buying the whole game. And besides that, there's also puzzle and survival that you could play, with survival having a brand new zombie that has yet to debut once again in the Tower Defense games. Giga Football Zombie. What the frick, PopCap? Why would you port him in a version of the game that barely gives you anything to do? But okay, regardless, this version of the game is really neat for a lot of reasons, as now you can still barely play it. That's kind of cool. Now we'll move on a bit further to the international console ports, which are the Xbox 360, PS3, DS and DSiWare, and finally PS Vita versions of the game. For the console ports, these give you a bunch of new content to work with, such as a leaderboard system, a customizable house, a much cleaner menu, a swapped out minigame that's fine, and a 16:9 aspect ratio, which just looks so good with this game. Oh, and there's also co-op play and a versus mode too. Overall, both of these ports are pretty neat, and you get a lot out of them that you would not get from the Game of the Year edition. The same can somewhat be said about the DS game. Like, this is a very crunched down version of PVZ1 that looks pretty rough, and runs even rougher. But it does have a versus mode too, as well as 5 exclusive minigames, with one of these actually replacing the minigame on 3-5. Who can blame them for that? Along with this, there's also a fresh new set of achievements, and yeah, this is more or less a portable PVZ1 that's just heavily neutered graphically. Oh, also, you can only have 9 seat slots. Actually unplayable. Oh, and about the DSiWare game, it has even less content, but a new exclusive minigame. That's it. PopCap, you milked PVZ1, oh my god. Oh, and as for the PS Vita port of the game, this is the exact same as the main console ports, only it's missing versus and co-op, it has Zombatar, it supports motion and touch controls, and it has its own set of unique achievements, with only some of these being related to the other normal set. Nothing too crazy, but it's interesting to see just how formulaic it is compared to the Nintendo ports. As for the mobile ports of this game, there's not much to say. Let's be honest, most of you already know about these two, which are the paid version and the free one. The paid got discontinued around 2017, so I don't have much to say. But as for the free one, this is just PVZ1 with slightly less content, and it also makes you pay for the minigames. Fun! Also, it gives you ads. So cool. Yeah, I don't know if you could tell, but I don't like this version of the game. It's good, you know, it's nostalgic, but it's whatever. Still counts for the video. So far, these have all been relatively normal and well known. And I'm about to change that because now we're including the Chinese stuff. Oh my god. Now, most of these are games that I've covered in my Chinese game series, so I'm going to be brief. But regardless, we can still talk about them, so let's dive in. We'll start with the most normal version of the game, which is the Android TV version. This port of the game is playable on, you guessed it, a TV. And interestingly enough, it's actually pretty functional. Huh, didn't expect that. There's only really 2 major differences here between the game and the console ports, and those would be the microtransactions and the difficulty of the game itself. For the microtransactions, these are mostly ignorable, so I wouldn't worry about it much. But the difficulty cannot be overlooked. This game just decides to throw so much crap at you the longer it goes on, to the point where Gargs are being used in the pool levels. Huh? Oh yeah, and this version also cut some content, so there's that too. But yeah, this one's weird. It's neat and a fun novelty, but besides that, it's just meh. And it's only going to get more insane from here, by the way. We'll just rapid fire a few of these, because anything I have to say about them was already said in my Chinese videos. So, PVZ Social Edition. Imagine a version of PVZ where you can constantly compete with friends in a battle to see who can score the most points. On top of this, imagine a version of the game that gives you a bunch of new plant variants, some of these having zero footage on the internet that can be easily found. Great Wall Edition. This is just PVZ1 with a Great Wall coat of paint. It's like, I could say a lot more about this, but what is there to say? It's just mobile PVZ1 with less content. Okay. Endless Edition. Imagine a PVZ1 where there's goddamn plant heroes. Okay, is this Overwatch or PVZ? I can't tell anymore. On top of having special plants, there's boatloads of new levels to play through, which are all based off of the Chinese novel Journey to the West. Oh, and this game also has some PVZ2 plants in it. Fun trivia about Dandelion here, this is actually what the Chinese version of PVZ2 based their design off of. Okay, sorry, this isn't a PVZ2 video, let's move on. So that's pretty much all of the ones that I could find. Kind of. There's still a few very small versions of the game that I didn't want to fit into main sections of the video, so let's cover the really small ones. Nook Edition. This is PVZ1 without the following: minigames, survival mode, and puzzle mode. Now, to give PopCap the benefit of the doubt, keep in mind that a Nook is a reading tablet. And I think you can kind of understand me a bit more here. Yeah, with that context, it makes a lot more sense. World Winner. A PVZ1 version with like almost no content, but it apparently tracked your score and you could win money for playing the game. Huh? What? What the frick? See, now I wish I was born sooner. I could have actually been making bank. Oh, and this next one is really fricked, because I can't even confirm if it's real or not. Java PVZ1. This is just a worse version of the game. There is nothing redeeming about this experience. Some plants like Blover and Planter were removed, so cactus actually matters in fog levels now. And on top of this, a lot of other random crap was cut, and it's just a mess. Now again, I can't confirm if this is even real or not, but regardless, you would think that a Java version of the game would be better than this. Yeesh. And to end off this video, I don't entirely know if this is actually a different version of the game, but if you're an American like me, picture this. You're sitting in an Applebee's or a Red Robin's, and you notice the tablet that you could pay for your meal with. And out of curiosity, you decide to look into it a bit, and realize that you could play games on it. So you do. And then you find out that none other than PVZ1 can be playable as well. Now, I'm not sure if this is based off of an Android tablet version of the game, but this is still one of the most fascinating ways to play PVZ1 ever. And I think on that note, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you all so much for watching until the end, I really do appreciate it. Looking through all of these ports and editions of the game made me realize that even PVZ1 had a lot of weird choices made for its direction, considering the many weird things they did to make all of these ports unique or even playable in some cases. I'm not sure what the mentality was for PopCap during this time period, but clearly it worked, because we're still talking about this game over a decade later. Oh, and real quick, just want to shout out Gravitry for being a $5 supporter on my channel. Thank you so much, that is much appreciated. Also, if you're new around here and you like what you saw, then maybe consider subscribing too. It helps me out a ton, and you get to see more PVZ trivia like this, so it's a win-win. And as for my own, I've got some porting of my own to do. God, these JoJo's jokes are starting to get stretched, aren't they? Regardless, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.